best song at the instant, then people are going to switch over. That's
Right.
the whole idea of consultancy and focus groups and all that sort of stuff was born with Superstars, and it just got tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. I'd like to disagree with what Opus is saying, though, to a certain extent, because largely because he mentions, Gene Simmons. I can't really agree with anything Gene Simmons says. But here's the problem, Opus. My problem is that it is the way it is now. I mean, that's the problem. It's, so to say you're against it is fine. I'm kind of against it too. I'd like to go back to where the disc jockeys made the decisions. But that's not where it's at now. And I don't think no matter what you do, we can't make it go backwards. So we have to figure out how to shape going forward.
Well, that's what I'm at right now. I've been kind of reevaluating the whole shenanigans. And but everyone gave Lars Ulrich such a hard time back in the day. Remember how much crap he got for that? And in reality, he was correct. And it's really sad that people gave him crap for it.
But it was a pure action, because there was he was attempting to stem the tide with his fame.
Right.
And guess what?
But there are still radio shows that play, like there's specialty shows like your show. There's specialty shows all over the country. There's major stations that play even heavy metal, but there's only like Monday night between 7 and 10.
Sure.
And if you can get on that, it's a great thing. And college does still play bands. I mean, you have to hire a radio marketing company, like the Syndicate, like Skateboard Marketing, like a lot of these people. And so if you just Google radio marketing, these people are hired to go out and bring your music to the radio stations where they actually promote it and they have the connections to the people. Because if you go up to, if you email Rick Allison and say, he's a different story, because he actually might play it. But if you were actually just some random radio station in Maine or something and say, hey, play my stuff, you're never going to get a response back. No matter how good the song is, it's a 1% chance. If you hire a radio campaign for $1,500 for 4 to 6 months of work, they actually go out and they hit up all these people that supposedly know these guys, and you might get some radio play.
One of the things that we haven't talked about, the M word hasn't come up yet, money.
Oh, God.
And it's, one of the things that strikes me is when everyone starts talking about how it's a new world order and whatever, the part of that always feels like a Who song to me is, it all comes down to money. It used to take $500,000 to make a record. It doesn't cost that much anymore. But it always has cost a lot of money to break a record, and that even costs more now, which kills me, because as a creative, that means the suits are getting more money than we in the studio, including the artist. But the bottom line is it really still comes back to money, and as Opus was saying, even to do the DIY or the indie thing means you've got to figure out where you're getting some scratch, because if you want people to find out about you, you can't just kind of put it up on SoundCloud and figure that it's going to happen. You've got to figure some way to blow the trumpet in a manner that people will come to that site and listen to it. So the promotion becomes the expense, even if production is not the expense or the major expense. Yes, Paula? It's not on. But I have faith in your ability to speak loudly.
I'm going to yell.
That's fine.
In addressing both Jordan and Opus, somebody's always been hired to promote. It's usually just been at the record label. Now, what's allowed to happen is the everyday person who didn't get signed now has the opportunity to get their stuff to a radio show, or to get their stuff out to the public. So instead of 5 people making millions of dollars, thousands of people are making that same $1 million. So it's kind of across. So the level of money isn't as high, but the amount of people actually making it is actually much greater now, which is one of the wonderful things that I find about the internet and the way the music world works now. But in addressing your concerns with having to go spend thousands of dollars, somebody always did that.
Can I,
Yeah, but you didn't have the label coughing that up now for most of those indie people. And also, actually, that total number of dollars in the industry is declining, has declined significantly.
Well, that used
So-
to be a label's job, and it was all in-house.
Yeah.
And now all these independent labels are basically just outsourcing to all these different companies for retail and radio and video and so on and so forth. And instead of spending $1 million, they're spending $10,000 and hoping to recoup. And it's just really, it's basically just a loan. And you could do it yourself. I mean, I always say, I would already be famous if I was if I was rich. Anyone who's rich and you still got to be good. The song's got to be good. A radio marketing company is not going to take on a recording that's garbage or that there's no song there. So it's not just about hiring somebody and getting out there. The product has to be good and the song has to be good too.
Well, I agree with this. You have to have a song first, and you have to have a great product. But I also have to say, as an artist like yourself, doing it yourself is not just doing it yourself; it's doing it independently and hiring people to do it for you. I mean, save that money and nest egg if you can, and you do stuff like band dues and make sure everybody pays into it, contributes to it, and use that money to get a promoter,
The right
to get a PR, to get a radio promoter. And that's where I think artists lack, because they don't realize that they can get them. They're at their fingertips. You can find them on the internet, and they can do all the work for you.
can I bring it back to this somewhat of a definable scale for the musicians in the room? As someone who's done promotion and marketing for several decades and how it's changed, I think realistically, I think you have to bring it back to the foundation phase, and that is, first of all, defining who you are, what your sound is, and who the potential available audience is. One thing that's, I think, misleading, and I find with social media in particular, it's easy to generate numbers. It's become, we used to be in a very high, I think Rick and Opus will agree, we were in a very high-touch business. It was, person to person, personal contact. There was accessibility. There was actual conversation. Today, it's become a business of analytics. It's a lot of numbers, and people come at me with Facebook likes, Twitter followers, YouTube views.
Oh, yeah,
things like that.
really
Big one.
And it's real interesting because the first thing I do is sit down and I say to them, it's a very interesting figure. I had a consultation with an artist last week and they had 133,000 Twitter followers. I said, it's very interesting. Give me the names of some of those people. And it was crickets.
How many albums you sell with that?
And I said, what do we know about them? Who are they? Where are they from? How old are they? What are their lifestyle likes and dislikes? How many email addresses do you have of those people? 0. They're just followers. So we really don't have any, we can't identify. It's hard to communicate with somebody when you know nothing about them.
Not only that, but Facebook won't let you get to
Yeah.
a few percent of them at a time.
Which brings me back to as interesting as these things are, and I utilize all of those, the most important thing is your website and the ability to capture these unknowns, these people, and start that communication process and build up that personal relationship like we had in I keep saying the old days, but there was a personal relationship. We knew things about them. We knew how old they were. We knew if they were married or single. We knew if they were gay, straight, or whatever, if they had kids, what their hobbies were, because there was an active participation with these people. So I think it's very important that we come back to the foundation of all this, because I think a lot of the people that are out there trying to do it themselves need to understand that. And if you're going to build a business model, it's got to be built on something that's real and not, these numbers, which again, it's tough to monetize these numbers if you don't know who you market.
Well, you can buy your numbers, and that
doesn't
doesn't
work well.
Yeah, you really just basically the key word is engaging. Engage your fans, engage your people.
When I was young, and you guys are probably too young to remember this, but these guys will remember, there was this thing called the Kiss Army, getting back to the whole Gene Simmons thing. And,